Ambassador Olivia Grant stepped through the doorway of the Earth Embassy, the weight of what she had done pressing down on her shoulders. The room fell silent as she entered. Every human face turned to her, expressions ranging from shock to fear to careful neutrality. Frank Miller, her chief advisor, rushed forward. His normally neat gray hair was disheveled, and his blue eyes were wide with concern. "What were you thinking?" he whispered, guiding her away from the main hall. "Every communication channel is lighting up. The Dronadians have recalled their ambassador. The Arcturians want an emergency meeting. 3 species have suspended trade talks." Olivia sighed and straightened her uniform jacket. "It needed to be done, Frank. They've been testing us for months. The border incidents, the hacking attempts, the accidental weapons test near our colonies." She walked toward her office, nodding at the staff members who quickly looked away. They needed to know we aren't the naive newcomers they take us for. The security doors hissed closed behind them as they entered the secure conference room. Paul Davis, the head of embassy security, was waiting with Samantha Lee from communications. Both stood when Olivia entered. "Madam Ambassador," Paul said, his voice tight, "we've detected increased scanning activity around the embassy. The Vesperians have doubled their surveillance drones, and we've identified what appears to be Solarian energy signatures attempting to penetrate our shields." Samantha pushed a data pad forward. "We've received 17 formal requests for clarification, 5 demands for your removal, and 3" she paused, "3 offers of enhanced military cooperation." Olivia smiled slightly. "Well, that's something, at least." A soft chime interrupted them. The embassy eye spoke. "Madam Ambassador, the Arcturian representative is requesting immediate audience. He claims it is a matter of utmost urgency." Frank frowned. "The Arcturians. They've been neutral in almost all galactic matters for the past decade." "Which makes this interesting," Olivia said. "Send him to the blue meeting room. Paul, I want you monitoring everything. Samantha, prepare a communication to Earth Central. They need to know things are moving faster than we anticipated." 20 minutes later, Olivia sat across from Ambassador Zortav of Arcturus. His blue-tinged skin seemed paler than usual, and his third eye blinked rapidly, a sign of stress she had learned to recognize. "Ambassador Grant," he began, his translator converting his whistling language to English, "your disclosure today has created quite a stir." Olivia kept her face neutral. It was merely a statement of fact. "A fact that has terrified half the council and intrigued the other half," Zortav said. "But I am here because you should know that certain species are already forming connections. Connections. An alliance, Ambassador. Against Earth." His third eye fixed on her. "The Dronadians, the Zolarians, and the Mech Collective have been meeting in secret for weeks. Your announcement today has accelerated their plans." Olivia leaned forward. "And why are you telling me this?" Zortav's mouthparts clicked softly. "Because Arcturus remembers history. We remember when our people were nearly destroyed by the Mech 5 centuries ago, and we remember who it was that stopped them from finishing what they started." He stood. "This information comes with no obligations, Ambassador. Consider it a recognition of an old debt." After he left, Olivia called her team back. "It's starting," she said. "The game board is shifting exactly as we predicted." She turned to Frank. "Contact General Martinez. Tell her to put the Sol Defense Fleet on alert status yellow. Not enough to be provocative, but enough to be ready." Paul looked uncertain. "Are we really prepared for this? If multiple species align against us?" Olivia's expression hardened. "That's why we have contingency plans, Paul. And not just the ones I mentioned today." She looked out the window at the glittering spires of the Galactic Council headquarters. "They think they've seen our full hand. They haven't even glimpsed our cards yet." Olivia Grant woke to the soft buzzing of her security alarm. The display on her bedside table showed 3:27 in the morning, Earth Standard Time. Someone was in the outer chamber of her embassy quarters. She reached under her pillow for the small pulse pistol she kept there. Moving silently, she slipped from her bed and pressed her back against the wall beside the door. Identity, she whispered to the room's AI system. Unknown, came the quiet reply. Embassy security has been temporarily disabled at the B7 junction. Camera feeds are looping. Professional work, Olivia thought. She took a deep breath and pressed the door release. The figure standing in her sitting room was tall and thin, wrapped in a shimmer cloak that bent light around it. As Olivia stepped into the room, the figure lowered its hood, revealing the chidnous face of a Vesperian. Its compound eyes reflected the dim light. Ambassador Grant, the insectoid visitor clicked, mandibles moving carefully to form human sounds. I am Kiztak, aide to the Hive Queen. Olivia kept her pistol steady. You've gone to considerable trouble for this meeting. Embassy protocol has channels for diplomatic communications. Kiztak's antennae twitched. What I bring cannot travel through official channels. The Queen sends her respect for your preparedness. It is a quality Vesperians understand well. The alien moved slightly, and Olivia tensed, but Kiztak was only reaching into his cloak. He withdrew a small crystalline sphere that glowed with a soft green light. The Dronadians are mobilizing their fleet. 3 battle groups have already moved into the Orion sector, near your colony on Proxima B. Olivia lowered her weapon slightly. Why would the Queen share this information? The treaty between our peoples has been profitable, Kiztak said. But more importantly, the Queen respects strength and caution. Your announcement yesterday revealed humans as kindred spirits, in a way, beings who plan for all possibilities. The alien placed the crystal on the table between them. This contains sensor readings from our outposts, the Dronadian fleet movements, communication intercepts, supply line information. And what does the Queen expect in return? Olivia asked. Nothing immediate. Kiztak's mandibles clicked in what Olivia recognized as the Vesperian equivalent of amusement. Consider it an investment in a potential future where our species stand together rather than apart. After the Vesperian left, Olivia immediately called Paul and Samantha to her quarters. They reviewed the security breach while Olivia examined the crystal. How did they get past our systems? Olivia demanded. Paul looked troubled. I don't know. The security logs show nothing. It's as if the systems were told to ignore the intrusion by someone with proper clearance. Samantha was examining her datapad. There's more. I've been running diagnostics on our communication systems since yesterday. Someone has placed advanced monitoring software throughout our network. It's so deeply embedded I almost missed it. How long has it been there? Based on the coding patterns, Samantha said slowly, at least 3 months. Olivia thought about the crystal in her hand and the warning it contained. We have a spy in the embassy. But who would have the access and the skill? Paul asked. Olivia walked to the window. Outside, the 3 moons of the Galactic Council world cast different colored lights across the embassy district. The Dronadian embassy gleamed with red illumination, while the Vesperian compound was dark and still. I don't know yet, she said, but I intend to find out. In the meantime, we need to verify this information about the Dronadian fleet. If it's true. She didn't finish the sentence. They all knew what it meant. The casual mention of contingency plans at the council meeting had accelerated events beyond what even she had expected. Contact Deputy Ambassador Pierce, she said finally. Tell him to check the status of the contingency archives back on Earth, and send a priority message to Fleet Command. Tell them we need to move to defensive posture Delta, but quietly. No visible fleet movements yet. As her staff left to carry out her orders, Olivia studied the crystal again. Allies and enemies were declaring themselves faster than anticipated. The game had begun, and the first moves were already in play. The Grand Council chamber had never looked so divided. Literally divided. Olivia noticed it the moment she entered. The circular room, designed to promote unity and equality among galactic species, had split into 2 clear groups. Half the species had moved their seeding pods closer to the Earth delegation. The others had shifted away, creating an empty zone in the middle of the chamber. Frank leaned close to her ear. "Well, that's subtle," he whispered. Olivia kept her face neutral as she took her place at the Earth podium. The chamber buzzed with conversation that stopped when Elder Xorthol rose from his hover seat. The ancient Solarian's translucent skin pulsed with blue light as he addressed the council. "This emergency session has been called to address concerns raised by Ambassador Grant's statements at our previous meeting." His amplified voice echoed. "Many species feel threatened by Earth's admission of having developed specific plans against fellow council members." Olivia waited for the translation to complete before responding. "Earth has developed defensive protocols, as any responsible government would. Just as I'm certain every species in this room has plans to protect their people." The Dronadian representative, General Vrak, stood up. His metallic exoskeleton gleamed under the chamber lights. "There is a difference, Ambassador, between defensive strategies and targeted contingency plans for each species. Your words implied not preparedness, but premeditated aggression." Olivia smiled slightly. This was the opening she had been waiting for. "With respect, General, perhaps I should clarify what these contingency plans entail." She touched her datapad, and a holographic display appeared above the center of the chamber. It showed timeline charts, incident reports, and response scenarios. Earth's protocols are primarily diplomatic and defensive. For example, when Dronadian mining ships entered the restricted zone near Europa 3 years ago, our contingency called for diplomatic contact before any military response. She swiped to another display. When the Zolarian research vessel experienced catastrophic failure near Mars, our protocols activated emergency medical and rescue operations specifically designed for Zolarian biology. The chamber grew quiet as she continued showing example after example, plans that demonstrated preparation rather than aggression. "Humans are newcomers to galactic society," Olivia said. "We believe in peace, but we're not naive. Our contingency planning has actually prevented conflicts on 7 separate occasions." Unexpectedly, the Tellarite representative stood. The furry humanoid rarely spoke at council meetings. "The Tellarite Confederation confirms Ambassador Grant's statement," he said, his gruff voice carrying across the chamber. 3 years ago, our intelligence detected a plot to sabotage human colonization efforts in the Ta City system. Earth forces could have launched a preemptive strike against the suspected perpetrators, which would have benefited them militarily. Instead, they chose diplomatic channels, even at potential cost to themselves. Murmurs spread through the chamber. This was information most species didn't have. As the debate continued, Olivia received a priority message on her secure communicator. It was from Deputy Ambassador Alan Pierce back on Earth. The message was brief but alarming. "Someone accessed the contingency archives. Level 9 clearance used. Timestamp shows access during your council speech yesterday. Investigation underway. Level 9 clearance. Only 5 people on Earth and 2 at the embassy had that level of access, and Olivia knew where all of them had been during her speech. She kept her expression calm while her mind raced. The spy had higher clearance than they'd suspected. This wasn't just about monitoring communications. Someone had accessed Earth's most sensitive defense information. Across the chamber, she noticed General Vrak watching her closely. Had he seen something in her expression? The Dronadian's compound eyes were unreadable, but his posture had shifted slightly. The council elder was speaking again, calling for a formal inquiry into Earth's contingency planning. Olivia listened while sending a coded message back to Alan. "Implement Protocol Sundown. Prepare for Level 3 information control." The game had just become far more dangerous. Someone wasn't just spying on Earth's embassy. They were reaching directly into Earth's secure systems. And based on the fleet movements the Vesperians had reported, they might be planning to act on that information very soon. Olivia sat alone in her secure chamber, reviewing the files that had just arrived from Earth. The transmission from Defense Secretary William Carter had been brief but chilling. Directive 47B is active. This is not a drill. Full details in the attached files. Directive 47B, the emergency protocol created for situations where Earth faced imminent threats from multiple species simultaneously. Not diplomatic posturing or isolated incidents, but coordinated action against human interests. The files painted a disturbing picture. Intelligence reports, fleet movements, intercepted communications, and energy signatures consistent with weapons being charged. The evidence was circumstantial but compelling when viewed together. The final file contained images and data on suspected infiltrators within the Earth Embassy itself. Olivia's breath caught as she scrolled through them. The last image showed a face she recognized instantly. Diane Jordan, her new assistant who had joined the staff just 3 weeks ago with excellent credentials and recommendations. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. She quickly closed the files. "Come in," she called. The door slid open, and Diane Jordan entered, carrying a data pad. Her smile was pleasant, her manner efficient as always. "The reports you requested, Ambassador," she said, placing the pad on the desk. "And General Vrak's office has asked again about scheduling a private meeting." Olivia studied the young woman carefully. Nothing in her behavior suggested anything other than a dedicated staff member. Her background check had been impeccable. Graduate of the Diplomatic Corps Academy, 2 years at the Mars Embassy, excellent evaluations. Yet the file from Earth showed surveillance images of her meeting with a known Dronadian agent on Europa Station last month. "Thank you, Diane," Olivia said, keeping her voice casual. "Please tell the General's office I'll meet with him tomorrow morning. And could you check with communications about the delay in our transmissions to Earth? We seem to be experiencing unusual lag times." "Of course, Ambassador." Diane nodded and left the room. Olivia immediately activated her secure communicator and sent a message to Paul Davis. "Need immediate surveillance on Jordan. Track all communications, room access, data requests. Code level, Echo." Operation Echo was a counterintelligence protocol designed not to stop a leak, but to control it. To feed an enemy agent exactly what you wanted them to see. 20 minutes later, Paul arrived with Samantha Lee from Communications. "She's definitely our leak," Paul said without preamble. "We've traced 3 unauthorized data transmissions from her personal device in the past week, all sent through a complicated relay system that ultimately ends at a receiver in Dronadian territory." Samantha nodded agreement. "The transmissions contain embassy communications, your schedule, meeting notes, and what appears to be scanning data of our security systems. But here's the interesting part," Paul continued. "She's not just sending to the Dronadians. The signal splits at the 3rd relay. Some data goes to the Dronadians, but copies go somewhere else too." "A double agent?" Olivia asked. "Possibly," Samantha said. "Or someone working for a third party altogether." Olivia considered her options. The standard protocol would be to arrest Jordan immediately and begin interrogation. But that would alert whoever she was working for that Earth had discovered the leak. "We're going to use this," Olivia decided. "Implement Operation Echo. Start feeding her controlled information. Let's give her handlers something to think about." She pulled up the plans for Echo on her secure tablet. "We'll start with this. Details of a false vulnerability in Earth's Mars defense grid. Make it convincing, but not obvious. Add authentic-looking security classifications." Paul looked concerned. "What if they act on it? Try to exploit the fake vulnerability?" Olivia smiled grimly. "That's exactly what I'm hoping they'll do. Because when they do, we'll be waiting, and we'll finally know exactly who we're dealing with." After Paul and Samantha left, Olivia sent a heavily encrypted message to Earth Defense Command. Mole identified. Operation Echo initiated. Request Sentinel surveillance of Mars Grid Sector 7. Possible hostile action within 48 to 72 hours. She looked out at the stars visible through her window. Somewhere out there, pieces were moving on the board. But now, At least she was starting to see the players more clearly. The message came through on a channel so old that most modern communication systems wouldn't even recognize it. A simple text transmission, encoded using a cipher that hadn't been used in official communications for decades. It directed Ambassador Grant to a set of coordinates, an abandoned trading post at the edge of neutral space. "It's obviously a trap," Frank said, pacing back and forth in Olivia's office. "No identification, no official channels, just a mysterious message asking you to go to a deserted station. This is how ambassadors disappear." Olivia studied the message again. There was something about the coding pattern that seemed familiar. "Maybe," she said slowly. "But what if it isn't? What if it's someone who can't use official channels? Then they're probably criminals," Paul Davis pointed out, "which isn't much better than it being a trap." Olivia made her decision. "I'm going, but not alone, and not unprotected." She looked at Paul. "Prepare a shuttle with minimal crew. 4 security officers, hidden weapons. Make it look like I'm just taking a short diplomatic trip." 6 hours later, their shuttle approached the abandoned station. It had once been a thriving trading post, but shifts in shipping routes had left it largely forgotten. Now it floated silently, only minimal life support systems still functioning. Olivia stepped off the shuttle ramp, 2 security officers beside her. The docking bay was dimly lit, emergency lights casting long shadows across the empty space. "Ambassador Grant," a voice called from the shadows. "I appreciate you coming." A figure stepped forward. He wore the uniform of Centauri intelligence, though without insignia or rank. He was tall for a Centaurian, with the typical purple-tinted skin and silver eyes of his species. "Commander Eric Reed," he introduced himself. "I apologize for the secrecy, but what I need to share with you couldn't go through normal channels." Olivia's security officers kept their hands near their concealed weapons. "Why would Centauri intelligence want to meet with me?" she asked. "Your government has been notably silent since my announcement at the council." Reed gestured toward a doorway. "If you'll follow me, I can explain everything." He led them to a small command center. The screen showed various star systems and ship movements. One display was focused on what appeared to be communication patterns between several worlds. "For the past 16 months, we've been tracking a group that calls itself the Purity Collective," Reed explained. "They're made up of extremists from multiple species who share one belief: the humans represent an existential threat to galactic order and must be contained or eliminated." He activated another screen showing faces from various species: a Dronadian general, a Zolarian scientist, representatives from a dozen other worlds. "Your announcement about contingency plans gave them exactly what they needed: proof that humans are dangerous and calculating." Reed paused, but it also threw their timeline into chaos. They weren't ready to act yet. "You forced their hand." "Why are you telling me this?" Olivia asked. "Centauri has no formal alliance with Earth." Reed's silver eyes fixed on hers. "Because our analysis shows that without realizing it, your contingency planning has already prevented 3 assassination attempts on key human leaders, including yourself." He pulled up more data. "The collective has been trying to provoke Earth into an aggressive action that would turn the Council against you. But each time, your protocols led to measured diplomatic responses instead of military ones." "You admire our restraint?" Olivia asked. "I admire effectiveness," Reed replied. "And the data suggests that Earth's approach works. The Centauri Council believes an alliance with Earth would be beneficial." A sudden alarm blared from one of the consoles. Reed checked it quickly, his expression darkening. "We have company. Unmarked fighters, approaching fast." He looked up at Olivia. "It seems someone tracked your shuttle." "Or yours," she pointed out. "Either way," Reed said, grabbing a portable data unit, "we need to leave. This station has an emergency exit route. We can discuss alliance terms once we're safely away." As they hurried through the station's corridors, Reed handed Olivia the data unit. Everything we know about the collective is in here. Even if I don't make it back, make sure this reaches your government. The implications were clear. This wasn't just about diplomatic posturing anymore. This was war, just not the kind fought with fleets and armies. At least, not yet. The Galactic Summit Ball was a tradition older than Earth's membership in the Council. Once each cycle, representatives from all species gathered for an evening of music, food, and conversation without the formal rules of council meetings. It was meant to be a time of truce and casual interaction. Olivia knew it was also the perfect opportunity to implement the next phase of her plan. The grand ballroom glittered with lights that shifted to accommodate the visual preferences of dozens of different species. Food and drink stations catered to the unique biology of each delegation. Music that sounded pleasant to all ear structures played softly in the background. Olivia wore a formal diplomatic uniform in earth blue, with small symbols of rank that most aliens wouldn't recognize, but that clearly identified her authority to those who knew human customs. Cultural attaché Lisa Monroe and military liaison Jack Thompson flanked her as they entered, their movements casual but their eyes alert. "Remember the plan," Olivia said quietly. "Lisa, focus on the Arcturians and Tellarites. They're already leaning our way. Jack, I want you with the Vesperian delegation. Share those historical files we prepared about the Mars colony crisis." "And Jordan?" Jack asked, nodding slightly toward where Diane Jordan stood by the refreshment area, seemingly engaged in conversation with a Zolarian diplomat. "Let her observe everything," Olivia replied. "Make sure she overhears exactly what we discussed." The evening progressed as Olivia had anticipated. Lissa charmed the Arcturian ambassador with stories of Earth's ancient peace traditions, while Jack impressed the Vesperians with tales of human-Martian cooperation. Throughout the room, Earth's delegation engaged strategically with representatives from wavering species. Olivia herself had a different target. She waited until she saw General Vrak of the Dronadian fleet standing alone near one of the viewing windows. With practiced ease, she glided over to join him. "General," she greeted him. "A magnificent view, isn't it?" The Dronadian's metallic exoskeleton shifted slightly as he turned to face her. "Ambassador Grant, I did not expect you to seek my company this evening." "Why not?" "Our species have much to discuss," Olivia said, keeping her tone light. "Especially given recent movements of your fleet near the Perseus Arm." If a Dronadian could show surprise, Vrak did. His compound eyes fixed on her face. "You are well informed." "Earth makes it a point to be well informed," Olivia replied. She took a sip from her glass before continuing. "Just as we're aware of your colony on Proxima Minor, the one with the failing shield generators." Vrak went very still. "That information is not widely known." "No, it isn't," Olivia agreed. "Just as it's not widely known that Earth vessels detected the shield failure 3 weeks ago and chose not to report it to the Council." "Why would you keep such information private?" Vrak asked carefully. Olivia looked out at the stars. "Because revealing it would have embarrassed the Dronadian Empire and potentially endangered innocent colonists." She turned back to him. "Earth had the opportunity to exploit a vulnerability. We chose not to." The message was clear without being explicitly threatening. Earth knew of Dronadian weaknesses but had chosen restraint. "An interesting diplomatic strategy," Vrak said finally. "Not strategy, General. Principle." Olivia nodded slightly. "Earth believes in cooperation rather than exploitation. Our contingency plans aren't about conquest. They're about survival and stability." Across the room, she could see Diane Jordan watching intently while pretending to be engaged in conversation. Perfect. Everything was going according to plan. As the evening came to a close, Frank found her near the Earth refreshment station. "The Arcturians and Tellarites have requested formal meetings to discuss defense cooperation," he reported quietly, "and 3 other species have made unofficial inquiries." "And our spy transmitted twice during the evening. We tracked both signals, one to Dronadian space as expected. The other," Frank paused. The other went to a relay near Centauri territory. Olivia nodded slightly. The pieces were falling into place. The information Reed had given her was proving accurate. Now it was time for the next phase. The demonstration that would either unite their potential allies or drive them away forever. Tell Fleet Admiral Collins her simulation needs to be ready in 3 days, she said. It's time to show them what we can really do. Luna Base gleamed under Earth's reflected light as the diplomatic shuttle approached. Olivia watched through the viewport as representatives from 17 different species gazed at the blue-white sphere of humanity's homeworld. Some tried to hide their interest. Others stared openly. Earth was still a novelty to many galactic species who had only known humans for a few decades. "They're nervous," Frank whispered, nodding toward their guests. "Half of them think we're bringing them here to demonstrate a weapon." "Let them think that for now," Olivia replied quietly. "The reality will be more impressive." The shuttle docked at Luna Base's diplomatic terminal. As they disembarked, Fleet Admiral Nancy Collins greeted them, her tall figure straight in her formal uniform. Her gray hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her eyes were sharp as she surveyed the alien delegates. "Ambassador Grant," she said with a crisp nod, "the simulation center is ready for your guests." They walked through wide corridors, lined with images of Earth's solar system and early space exploration. Olivia had insisted on this route. She wanted the aliens to see humanity's journey to the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers. The simulation center was a vast dome with viewing platforms surrounding a central projection area. The delegates were shown to comfortable seating designed for their various physiologies. Below them, dozens of human officers worked at control stations. Admiral Collins stepped to a central podium. "Distinguished representatives, thank you for accepting Earth's invitation. Today, you will observe a demonstration of Earth's emergency response capabilities." The lights dimmed. The dome's interior transformed into a three-dimensional star map of a nearby sector. "Scenario begins," a computerized voice announced. "Multiple hostile fleet signatures detected near Colony World Epsilon. Civilian population, 8 million. Defensive capabilities, minimal." The simulation showed red dots approaching a blue planet. What followed was not what most delegates expected. Instead of massive warships rushing to engage the enemy, they watched as Earth forces implemented a coordinated response involving civilian evacuation, diplomatic channels opening to nearby systems, and defensive positions that focused on protecting population centers rather than military targets. Most surprising to the observers was how the simulation incorporated alien allies. Vesperian swift ships were deployed for reconnaissance. Arcturian shield technology protected evacuation vessels. Tellarite medical teams treated casualties. "This is not just a human response," Olivia explained as the delegates watched. "This is a cooperative defense model, each species contributing their strengths to protect all." The Arcturian ambassador leaned forward, his third eye widening. "That emergency medical protocol. That's exactly what your ships used when our colony faced the asteroid strike last year." Olivia nodded. "Yes, we adapted these simulations based on real cooperative efforts." As the simulation progressed, several delegates requested permission to speak with the officers running specific stations. Others huddled together, discussing what they were seeing. The Dronadian representative withdrew to the back of the viewing platform, his communication device active. When the demonstration concluded, Admiral Collins invited the delegates to the reception area. Many approached Olivia with questions and comments. 7 species requested information about joint training exercises. The Vesperian representative formally invited Earth to participate in their annual fleet maneuvers. After the delegates departed, Collins led Olivia to a secure briefing room. Her expression was serious as she activated a holographic display. "While they were watching our pretty light show," Collins said, "our real sensors detected this." The hologram showed a massive weapon signature being tested in deep space, far from regular shipping lanes. "Energy output analysis confirms it," Collins continued grimly. The Purity Collective has obtained planet killer technology. Based on the radiation signature, they tested it at least twice. Olivia studied the data. How long until it's operational? Best estimate, 2 months. Collins looked at her steadily. Your diplomatic dance bought us some allies, Ambassador. But this changes the game. If that weapon becomes fully operational, it won't, Olivia said firmly. Because now we know exactly who we're dealing with. And it's time for the final phase of our plan. She activated her secure communicator. Notify all allied species. Protocol Sundown is now active. And find Diane Jordan. It's time she learned who she's really been working for all this time. 3 months had passed since Ambassador Grant's casual disclosure about contingency plans. The Galactic Council chamber was packed beyond capacity. Species that normally sent single representatives had brought entire delegations. Even those who rarely attended council sessions were present today. Olivia stood calmly at the center of the chamber. The past 90 days had transformed the galactic political landscape. 7 previously neutral species had signed defense pacts with Earth. Trade with even the most cautious civilizations had increased by 30%. And the intelligence operation she had orchestrated had finally borne fruit. Representatives of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice carrying through the vast chamber. 3 months ago, I revealed that Earth maintains contingency plans regarding every species in this room. Today, I stand before you to present evidence of a different kind of contingency planning. Behind her, a massive display activated, showing communications records, meeting locations, weapons schematics, and financial transactions. This is evidence of a conspiracy by a group calling themselves the Purity Collective, Olivia continued. A conspiracy to develop and deploy planet-killer weapons against worlds that refuse to comply with their vision of galactic order. Murmurs spread through the chamber as species recognized members of their own governments among the conspirators. This evidence was compiled through cooperation between Earth intelligence, Centauri security forces, Vesperian hive scouts, and other allies. Olivia paused, and from one more crucial source. She gestured to the side entrance, where Diane Jordan walked in, flanked by security officers. My assistant, Diane Jordan, who the collective believed was their agent. In reality, she has been working for Earth from the beginning, helping us track the full extent of the conspiracy. Jordan nodded slightly to Olivia before taking the seat at the Earth delegation table. The Dronadian representative rose from his seat. These are serious accusations. Ambassador, they require serious proof. The proof has been transmitted to each of your secure systems, Olivia replied, including the locations of 3 planet-killer weapon facilities currently under construction. The chamber erupted in chaos as delegates accessed the information. Some species immediately called for military action. Others demanded investigations of their own officials. When order was finally restored, Elder Exorthal addressed Olivia. Ambassador Grant, you have presented disturbing evidence, but this raises a larger question. If Earth knew of this conspiracy, why reveal your contingency planning in the first place? It seems to have accelerated the collective's timeline. Olivia smiled slightly, because we needed to force them to act before they were ready, to make mistakes, to reveal themselves. She looked around the chamber, and because it was time for the galaxy to understand what humanity really stands for. She touched her control pad, and the displays changed again, showing a complex network of trade routes, defense systems, scientific research stations, and medical facilities. This is humanity's true contingency master plan, not merely protocols for conflict, but a comprehensive framework for peaceful integration and mutual defense that accelerates technological and social development for all participating species. The displays zoomed in on specific projects already underway, joint ventures between humans and other species that had begun quietly over the past several years. Earth doesn't seek to dominate the galaxy. We seek to help protect it and help it grow. Our contingency plans were never just about defending against threats. They were about creating a framework where threats become unnecessary. As Olivia concluded her presentation, The council chambers buzzed with conversation. Some species immediately pledged support. Others remained suspicious. A few delegates walked out in protest. Frank joined her as she stepped away from the central podium. "Well," he said quietly, "that was quite a gamut. Not everyone is convinced. They don't need to be. Not yet." Olivia watched as species that had been enemies for centuries cautiously began discussions with each other. The seeds have been planted. That's all we needed. And the collective's weapons. Joint task forces are moving against all 3 facilities as we speak. Olivia smiled. It turns out having contingency plans was useful after all. As they left the chamber, delegations from a dozen worlds approached to request meetings. The galactic landscape had forever changed, not through dominance or fear, but through careful planning and a vision of cooperation that few had imagined possible before a human ambassador casually mentioned having contingency plans for every species in the room.